This SoonerScoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. Don't miss a moment on or off the field. Make every day a highlight with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIKs. Hello and welcome back. Eddie Radosevich, Bob Prisbillo here from the SoonerScoop.com studios. Welcome back to the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel. Another week, another Stickball report. Good weekend for softball. Coming out of an incredible weekend. Top 10 matchup with South Carolina. Oklahoma wins 10-9. Oklahoma wins 10-9. And Oklahoma wins 2-1. Quite a disparity, right, in between the game on Saturday and Sunday. But what a barn burner on Friday night where you look up. I'm over at the baseball stadium, and you look up, and it's like South Carolina's up 5-2. What a comeback, though, for Oklahoma. Offensive performance, very, very good over the last 2 days, or the first 2 days.
Exactly what Patty Gasso wanted to see. What happens when you get punched in the mouth? And they did. So, South Carolina, I don't know how the pitching will go for them the rest of the season. Their hitting is for real. They are going to be involved in some slugfest, some 12-10 type games the entire season. There's no doubt about that. And they put that 5-run second inning, and it's like, you're going to have to wake up. And they did. Gabby Garcia has been just sensational. 6 home runs in the last 7 games. Nelly McEnroe Marinas had 2 3-run homers in the same game in the first game of the doubleheader on Sunday. Just time and time again, these freshmen are rising up to the occasion. It's just a great, great weekend of those girls learning what this is going to be like.
Sure.
And that was actually the question that I asked Gabby earlier this week, is like, how mentally and physically draining was this year? And it's like, energy-wise, we were spent, but I loved it. I'm excited about it. I think every game, every series needs to be like this. I'm ready for this type of, action week in, week out.
Whether it be a Gabby Garcia or whomever comes in and steps in as a freshman that are, being asked to fill in shoes that the expectations are probably insurmountable. It's probably not even fair to talk about replacing the seniors that left after the season a year ago, and really truly over the last 4 years. It does seem like that was a step in the right direction when you start asking questions about this team. The very few questions that you can ask is, how were they going to respond in those big moments? And it seemed like every time they needed something over the course of the, 2 days, 3 games with South Carolina, they responded. They gave you something that is like, oh, okay. They were like some of the top-ranked players in the country coming out of high school.
And never was that more apparent than with Audrey Lowry in the second game of the doubleheader. We just went 10-9. We went 3 hours, 9 minutes for a 7-inning game.
I thought you were going to be there until 10:30 on Sunday night.
10-9. No one has been able to get South Carolina out.
Sure.
Kirsten Deal can't. Isabella Smith just gave up a grand slam. Sam Landry's not available. Peyton Monticelli did what she could in her spot duty. It's up to Lowry to shut down the bats. And oh my goodness, did she ever. She's not overpowering, but she's pitching contact, and South Carolina and OU for that matter both looked really drained in that second game. But to have that type of performance from a freshman in that setting, after she struggled so much at Loves against Bowling Green, to be able to do that, again, you just start, that ceiling gets a little bit higher with every week.
I guess if you're going to start out 3-0, winning in the way that they did, in the fashion that they did, and really even going back into the beginning of the season, when you're in some of these tight ball games, gaining that type of experience for what's to come with the schedule has to be a good thing. I guess the one thing that you're kind of questioning coming out of the weekend for the softball program was, what was going on with Sam Landry? And we saw her return to the circle on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it was huge. We talked to Patty, and she said, we're going to get Sam going at Tulsa. We have to. We've got to, let her work her way back into the rhythm of things. We need her at Arkansas, but we're not going to just throw her out there cold. And I was surprised. I thought maybe it meant like a couple batters, maybe an inning.
Sure.
Instead, she goes 3 2/3 again at Tulsa. Has the 5 strikeouts, looks like herself, and that's a great sign for what should be a very emotional, once again, series coming up at Arkansas with all the Gasso family reunion stuff that's going on, not to mention the first SEC crowd that's going against you the entire time, so something that they'll have to get used to as well. But, that's every week learning experience.
Really good game on Wednesday night up in Tulsa for Alina Agbayani. 3 for 3, 5 RBIs. And God bless Tulsa. It seems like every time Oklahoma rolls into town, it ends up going poorly. 2 runs in the second, 2 runs in the third, 3 in the fourth, 3 in the sixth, 10-2 the final, just in 6 innings. But a really nice night for Agbayani.
Yeah, Lana's been the key or like the cornerstone of the defense. Even though she's at second base, she's the one trying to keep that infield all together. And her offense has kind of been sporadic. Her speed is sensational when she gets on. Her intelligence in terms of trying when to steal or when to hit and run and how to execute it has been great. But this was one of those first games where she can do it with the bat too. The 2-run triple that ultimately led to the 10 to the run rule there in the 6th inning. But yeah, that's the type of performance that OU fans maybe had been waiting for. It was also a good day to get some other people in. We saw Sydney Barker hit another 2-run homer as she tries to fight for more playing time. Yet Tia Malloy was out there initially. Maya Bland got a chance. Like, that was the goal of when we talked to Patty Tuesday. I want to get some of these people in. They're fighting too hard every day in practice to not get a shot. And when their number's called, they're coming up big.
Oklahoma now 23-0. As you said, they're headed to Fayetteville this weekend. I'm going to put you on the spot. If you check the weather in Fayetteville, if God forbid they had to play in Oklahoma this weekend, 70-mile-per-hour winds expected on Friday. Welcome to Oklahoma type of thing. But DJ Gasso is across the field from, I guess, JT and Patty on throughout the weekend. But it is kind of unique, and I know that Patty talked about it during her press conference earlier this week.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone through it before when he was with Utah, so they kind of know what to expect, but still going to be a very great weekend for the entire family to get together, not to have to split up or decide who you want to watch on this weekend. And it's funny when Patty really got going. She's like, the brothers are always fighting. I'm done with both of them. Just give me the grandkids at this point. But JT, DJ, both getting the job done at a very high level. And what they've kind of brought to the sport of softball in terms of the analytics with hitting, it has definitely shown up. It's one of the first things when a transfer comes here and you ask, how have you changed as a hitter? They just mention how JT is so analytical and how he's been able to pinpoint just these little details that really get them to bring out the best in them.
When you grow up in the household of, arguably the best softball coach to ever do it, the current Team USA head coach, I'm sure that you pick up a couple things and then even bring in some things along the way. Really good start, obviously. It's going to be how is Arkansas just in terms of overall?
They were looking really nice in the top 10, had a rough weekend here, so coming off, seeing how they can bounce back. They're still a legitimate top 20, maybe top 15 team when it's all said and done. And I think that's kind of what you're going to see is you're going to get to these weekend series and you're going to say, well, you take 2 out of 3, that's okay.
Sure.
And then there's OU going 3-0. And getting the respect from South Carolina. South Carolina goes from 9 to 10.
Yeah.
That like you learned a lot about South Carolina too. Like they're legit, but OU is legit too. And now for the first time, I'm not saying they should be ranked 1, but I understand why you could make that argument. For the first time this season, I believe OU is playing like the top ranked team in the country.
We'll rank them then. Why don't you? On the baseball side of things, Oklahoma is starting to get ranked higher and higher as they improved to 15-1 coming off of a Wednesday night victory over La Tech. Baseball America, I think it's pretty clear.
Overcorrection?
Well, I think it's pretty clear. They completely forgot OU was playing baseball when they didn't rank them a couple weeks ago. Up to number 8 in the country, 9 in another poll. They had 12 in D1 baseball. But all in all, pretty good start to the year. Obviously, when you win 15 of your first 16 games. The only misstep, and I don't think anybody, if you follow, we're doing it again. If you follow OU baseball, Dallas Baptist,
you saw what they did to the Cowboys. Beat them again. You saw what they did to the Cowboys as well.
And Oklahoma State blew a 5-0 lead in that game. They didn't have to play in hurricane wind-like conditions down there in Dallas. But good response, too, to come back, get through what you had to against Sam Houston. Again, I don't think they're a very good baseball team. Kyson Witherspoon was awesome on Friday night.
Yep.
He's going to get his first, I would say, major test in a way, especially on the road. I know that they played down in Round Rock against good opponents, and Kyson obviously did so. But this would be kind of the first big test against Paul Maneri's group over at South Carolina, that their only missteps this season have been a 3-game sweep at the hands of Clemson, which I'm sure South Carolina fans felt a certain way about. But all in all, it's exactly where you want to be, right? Now you're going into SEC play. I think they're playing pretty good baseball at the right time, just in terms of getting over the loss and seeing how they were going to respond. I think the biggest thing for the baseball team, Bob, is going to be how do they respond and how do they play in the elements that come with a road series at South Carolina.
Did you feel emotionally they still had it against Sam Houston, or was it a little bit going through the motions and we're still going to get it done?
I thought on Sunday, I guess the second game, they played a doubleheader as well on Sunday because of the weather in Norman, but I thought the second game was kind of a go through the motions type game. You'd won the opening game or the first game of the doubleheader 7-3. 9-7 was the come from behind. They were down 5-1 in that game, and all of a sudden it was kind of like, it's not the end of the world if you lose, but RPI-wise, losing to Sam Houston State probably wouldn't be the best thing in the entire world. And then, obviously, Friday night, Kyson shoved. It was 6-1. You give up a couple runs. You ended up winning 6-5. So, back into the bullpen, it's kind of been a little bit up and down.
That's
Jason
where I was
Bowden's
going. Yep.
kind of come through, and he's going through a little bit of a struggle there. I think you have better options, or maybe more options if you don't want to trust him on the back end. But Dylan Crooks has been phenomenal in the closer role. I thought something that was kind of interesting that Skip talked about after the game on on Wednesday night was the 2022 team. And obviously went to Omaha. They were excellent when it seemed like the stage got as big as it possibly could. There's going to be bigger games than South Carolina this week, but I think this is going to be the first test of how do you respond when there's not maybe a lot of people that are going to be there that are cheering for you. Quite different than what they did when they beat Virginia and Oregon State in Round Rock.
You look at Dylan Crooks. How good of a closer can he be? It seems like it doesn't matter what the situation is. His number gets called.
And he's been thrown into some really tough spots as well. And to be able to get out of that, I think it probably shows, just how veteran he is, being in the back end, having that experience. It's going to be different, though. I think that there's still a lot of question marks about what this team could be. Obviously, the pitching side from the starting rotation is going to be fantastic. If those guys can be good on the back end, it could be a really special season. I do think, offensively, they went through a little bit of a spurt there. Dallas Baptist, kind of at the end of that weekend against CSUN, even though that you swept. Last night, on Wednesday night, Jackson Willis goes 3 for 4. And, Skip talked about it on the radio this morning. It's one of those things. He hit the ball hard a couple times here during this stretch where he started out hitting 228. And last night it was just a couple grounders that got through the middle of the field, and it's like that's the most baseball
that's
thing
how it
ever,
goes. Yeah, exactly.
Right? Sam Christensen had a 2-run homer on Saturday. The power numbers probably, if you're waiting for them to come, you're going to wait for a while. I think they're going to have to kind of small ball this thing, get base hits, string base hits together, and kind of see where you're at. But the pitching should be phenomenal.
Is Cam Johnson locked up that third spot?
It's going to be interesting because I thought that he kind of went through not through the motions. He has his ups and downs as any guy that is going into what will be his, I believe, 4th start now. Kate Crossland's interesting because I think that last night he started against Louisiana Tech. Only pitched 2 innings, was really good in the second inning, kind of battled through a leadoff single. It was kind of a bullshit hit down the third baseline. But he got out of it. He looked good, only threw 40 pitches, had 4 strikeouts. I asked Skip after the game if that was kind of by design, that he was only going to throw the 40 pitches in the 2 innings, and sure thing, that's what's happened. So I imagine he'll be the first arm out of the bullpen on Saturday or Sunday, weather permitting. I know that they have like a 90% chance of rain on Sunday in Columbia. We could be looking at a doubleheader on Saturday, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's also not the best thing, expecting to go in and sweep a doubleheader, right? I was giving Skip a hard time. I feel like going back into last year even, this will be like their 10th or 11th doubleheader because of weather in conference play. Obviously playing in the Big 12 last year, and now you're running into it again right now. So to answer your question, I don't know. I don't know if this is for sure locked in on Sunday. I think Kyson and Malachi, Friday, Saturday, you're 1-2 going into a series. But it's going to be interesting because I do think that Cade has the good enough stuff that you would be more than comfortable putting Crossland into a weekend rotation.
Doubleheader Saturday. How important then does Kyson become Friday night?
Very, very important because, like I said, I don't know if you can expect a team to go out and sweep a doubleheader. They've had a lot of success in doubleheaders, but just with the uniqueness of the weekend and playing an opponent that you're not quite familiar with, I think it's important. And it's going to be important here probably moving forward through the entirety of the conference play to get your ace to be a first-round draft pick and be that guy that everybody thinks is kind of like the basketball team. We did a hoops report that you can watch following the win over Georgia on Wednesday night. So I think it's really important that he goes out and shoves and gives yourself a chance on Friday. And if nothing else, you're saving a bunch of pitching as well for if you're having to get into a doubleheader come the weekend. So we'll make sure we check on that. Obviously, it's just Thursday. They're headed out today to go to Columbia. So I would imagine that they make a decision, I would think, by Friday afternoon if you're going to have to play a doubleheader this weekend. So all in all, 23-0 for softball, 15-1 for the baseball team. And stickball seems to be fun, but I think basketball is going to hang around for at least one more week here with the men's side. And then obviously, hopefully for the women's side, they play for weeks to come with a a destination to come.
Starting off in Norman
With the NCAA regional being hosted, expected to host. I guess you can't say it for sure. Just like the OU basketball team, you can't say it for sure that they're in, but I think it'd have to take all right, we'll say it for sure in. Good stuff, Bob. We appreciate it. For Mr. Prisbillo, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We'll see you back here for another Stickball report next week.